So we are live, Ian.
Hi there.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to SKLIVE. I'm your host, Afreen Khan. Today, Ian Bell has joined us. So, namaste, Ian. Namaste from India.
Namaste.
So, thank you for joining us. Welcome to SKLIVE, Ian.
Thank you very
So,
much.
how's it going? How's it going back in England?
Not too bad. Obviously, it's obviously not easy with lockdown. I suppose from the positive side, as a cricket player, you're always on the road, always travelling. So it's allowed me to, I suppose, spend some time at home with the family and the children, which is the nice side of it. But I guess from cricket side, it was a bit frustrating that we can't get out and play. But hopefully everyone's safe, and from that side of things, there's more important things than just cricket. But it would be nice to get back out on the cricket field and so everyone has something to watch and enjoy.
Nice. So you are known for your technique and cover drives. So who would you give credit for your skills?
That's a good question. I think growing up, obviously, I suppose there was no T20 at the time, so I did a lot of work on my technique about 4-day cricket, batting long periods of time, and really the aim was to play Test match cricket for England. And I think I just really, the basics, really playing really straight. And I had a coach called Neil Abley, who I really worked with since I was 10 years old, all the way until I played for England. And he was the person I'd always go back to talk about technique, make sure things were okay and aligned. So he was the one that I worked with a lot on my technique. But I think it was a little bit easier purely because it was all about red ball cricket. There was no real T20 to focus on it when I was very young. It was all about getting the best technique I could.
So who do you think currently has the best cover drive in world cricket?
Oh, I mean, there's a few. I mean, Virat Kohli obviously is
Nice.
pretty hard to look past. I think he's as somebody who obviously a traditionalist of the game. I like watching good technical players, and he's probably the best in the world at the moment. So yeah, you'd have to go well to beat a Virat cover drive at the moment.
So you have been part of 5 Ashes winning team. How do you feel about it?
Obviously, it's something I'm obviously very proud to be part of. I suppose growing up when you're whether you're from England or Australia, the Ashes is such a big part of the cricketing culture and actually just culture in general. And I suppose I was born into an era when Ian Botham, I suppose, was doing what he did. So as a youngster, all you want to do is try and emulate what Ian Botham did. That's what we all grow up wanting to do at some point. And I suppose then into my teens, Australia in particular was so dominant over England for such a long period of time. So, Australia were amazing, and it's nice to be part of a generation and an era where we won 5 out of 7 times through my period playing for England. So that's really nice to have maybe shifted the momentum a little bit. And it's, like I said, as an Englishman, all you want to do really growing up is beat Australia.
Nice. So Ian, Ashes 2005 came at a very early part of your career, and in that series, how did you deal with the situation back then?
I'll be honest with you, not very well to start with. I played Test match cricket against the West Indies and 2 matches against Bangladesh. Went on tour to South Africa but didn't play, and then obviously played that 2005 Ashes, and I think it was amazing to be part of such an iconic, amazing Test match series.
Absolutely.
Yeah, some incredible moments, and with the lockdown at the moment in England, they keep replaying a lot of these Ashes games. But I think for me at that time in my career, I learnt a lot about Test match cricket, and also probably it was an eye opener to watching Ponting, Vaughan, McGrath. Michael Vaughan scored a great 100. Trescothick was a very fine player. But if I wanted to become a very good Test match player and have a career in Test match cricket, I probably came at the right time to say there's a lot of improvement to do. But yeah, I would have said from me, it was about, when I look back on that series, I learned so much about Test match cricket in that series. And luckily, I suppose I had the opportunity to then kick on from that because I was still so young, try and use those experiences to become a better player. And luckily, we had a tour to Pakistan literally only a month or two later, and I think I was leading run scorer in that series. So I came back from having a tough series against Australia to bouncing back quite quickly, which I suppose is what you try and do. You learn from any mistakes or tough series to try and put them right and become a better player.
So, out of the 5 Ashes wins, which was the most memorable?
Well, they're obviously all very special. I think on an individual point of view, 2013 becoming man of the series, as I said, I think as
Yes,
a youngster, you like I said, the Ian Botham images, and what Ben Stokes has managed to do is, you're trying to affect that series. You're trying to be the player that can to win that game and be remembered in a series. But I'd still have to say the best series, or the most memorable, or my favourite one in a way, was winning in Australia, because for me in Test match cricket, the hardest places to win away from home for us is Australia and India. So we realised when we won in Australia, it wasn't just about winning the Ashes. It was something very special in that environment. In Australian conditions was probably the best win, and in my career, I would say, and you probably, if you were to ask Alistair Kirk or Kevin Pietersen, our 2 best Test match victories really were the win in Australia and also the Test match win in India, which, as we've seen over such a long time, to win in India is probably even harder to win than it is in Australia. So they're the 2 best, Test match series that I've ever been part of.
So, can you just tell us about how the way you guys celebrate post victory?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think
Some dressing room secrets.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've got to be a little bit careful what I say, but I don't want to upset a few people. But I think it was. I think a lot of the time, I think certainly when you're not playing international cricket anymore, you realise the special moments of living in that moment. And as you said, I think being in the dressing room at the SCG with the whole team and family and friends coming in is a really special time. I was very lucky, through this group that I played with. I'd already played England in the 19s with, been on academies, so the likes of Jimmy Anderson, Matt Pryor, Kevin Pietersen, Alistair Cook. We all grew up in a very similar period, like I said, through the 19s, through the academy. So to sit in the SCG away dressing room, having achieved that with guys you've played your whole career with, was special. And obviously then to share it with, the families was special. But not too many massive stories. I think sometimes the best wins really are about soaking up the moment, being in that, in the dressing room.
Absolutely.
Because when you finish and you don't do it anymore, they're the moments you cherish and you miss the most.
So there was one incident in 2011 against India. I believe you just understood. Your smile saying it.
I know where you're going with this one.
So when just before tea, you were run out in an unusual manner. So how do you look back at that moment?
Well, obviously, I take responsibility. It was a massive mistake on my part. I remember it happening, and it was a bizarre few seconds. I remember hitting the ball, and it was going right to the boundary. I remember thinking, because again, Trent Bridge, small ground, fast outfield, and everything just looked like on fire. I remember Asad Rauf, I think he was at the bowler's end, taking his jumper and cap out of his thing. So I'm there just watching the umpire. And obviously a massive mistake of mine was to then just assume that ball had gone for 4 and started to walk off. And obviously the bad thing was the pavilion was on the far side. And it all seemed to happen in slow motion then. But again, like I said, it was a massive error. And I suppose when I look back, and MS Dhoni and India, I mean, the spirit of cricket in that period, I suppose they recognised there was a mistake and probably... it should never have happened in the first place. I should never have left my ground. But I suppose, again, it was a great example where cricket can go with the spirit of cricket. And, when emotions calm down after little bits that have happened, then, I think out of it, from my point of view, it's disappointing to happen because I made the mistake. But the spirit of the game and the way that MS Dhoni dealt with it was incredible.
So 2011 World Cup, big game, India versus England, and match was tied. What are your memories from that match? And do you think you were out on that Yuvraj Singh delivery? LBW out?
Well, I think I was. I thought I was halfway walking off, to the pavilion in Bangalore. But yeah, it's strange, obviously, with the rules at the time, and there was a lot of confusion about how far you had to be down for DRS and all sorts of things. So yeah, it was again another, I suppose, really strange situation to be part of. But I suppose what I do remember was a great game of cricket, and one of my fondest memories, one of the fondest games to be part of in a World Cup, again against a World Cup winning Indian side, a great side. And to play in that game was incredible. It
And
ebbed
it
and
was a
flowed
tie
all the
as
time.
well.
Yeah, it ebbed and flowed. At one point, it looked like we were going to win, then we were going to lose, and then there was a tie. An incredible game, and I think, having been looking at again Bangalore, what a great place to play, and even watching from a distance when the IPL's on, creates great games of cricket. The ball seems to be travelling. Really great place to play cricket, and yeah, as you said, a real memorable game of cricket in that World Cup, and obviously India go on to win it. So again, it's nice to know that we had a good game against the eventual winners of that World Cup.
So, Ian, what makes Mitchell Johnson so dangerous? You got out to him many times.
Actually, I don't know. In the series that he ended up playing, obviously bowled Australia to victory against England. I think I only got out to him in the last Test match. So I quite enjoyed the challenge of Mitchell Johnson. I felt like it was a good battle. He was obviously very awkward. He's a strong guy. And actually, the best thing about it, obviously, we played a lot against each other. I played under 19s against each other as well. Was actually I ended up playing for the Perth Scorchers with him, which was very different than we've obviously played our whole careers against each other. And obviously, he's a great guy. But he was awkward. He was quick. It's just a very different, I suppose, angle with guys with that pace. Certainly for right-handers. But I enjoyed the challenge. It was always a challenge. The game was on, and sometimes it was a matter of getting through his hostile spell, seeing him off. But there were also times that we felt that, again, you could score. The pace was on the ball. You didn't need to hit the ball too hard. You could use that pace. So it was always a good challenge and someone I enjoyed playing against.
So, summer of 2011, England became number one in rankings for the first time. Was that the highest point in your career?
Certainly for us, when Andy Flower and Andrew Strauss took over as captain and coach, our goal was to get to number one in the world. It was a real clear goal, and the whole team really bought into it. So we sort of had some really clear goals that we wanted to achieve, but and some short-term goals as well. And recognising if you want to get to number one in the world, you have to win your series away from home. And probably it's a common thing in cricket now, but certainly the England team, we win a lot of games at home, but we don't win away. And through that little period of time, we just started to win some big series away from home, which was the main reason we got to number one. But yeah, there's no doubt that series again, and to go to the Oval and to become number one team in the world. Obviously, it was against India as well, so to play against a really, really good side, and then to get to your goal that you've been working at for quite a few years now as a group was very satisfying. We never quite managed to really then reset our goals and go again and figure out how we're going to stay at number one. That was probably one of our mistakes as a group, was not resetting again. And actually, we were very good at being the people chasing number one, but actually, when you get to number one, you are now the chase. You are now the ones everyone else is chasing, and we probably should have reset our goals and then gone again. But we probably didn't manage to do that. And the group actually, Andy didn't go on much longer, and the group started to break up, and it was a rebuilding process for the England Test side.
So, Ian, what do you like about playing in India?
Oh, I mean, well, firstly, the supporters. I mean, getting out in front of that kind of support in those stadiums is incredible. Some of the best. Like when I'm telling young players in England, the atmosphere that you play in India is as good as, if not the best in the world. So I think they're the things you really look forward to. Again, going to India for any cricket is amazing. The love everyone has for the game is just incredible, and it's just the best place to be involved in cricket. And they're the things you miss. Like I said, the atmospheres, the great players that I've played against. are things that I will miss not playing for England anymore. But I would say the atmospheres in particular, when those one-day internationals are on, the stadiums are full, just an incredible place to play.
So you like any place in India? You visited any historical monument or something, some place in India?
Yeah, obviously we do we do the usual. Obviously we've done the Taj Mahal and all those things. But again, with cricket, a lot of the time, as people say, sometimes you think, when you're traveling around the world, you get time to go off and do all these amazing things. But a lot of the time, your hotel, training, and a game, and unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't allow you to see the amazing places in different countries around the world, which I think when you're retired, you probably get the chance to do a little bit more. But for me, again, just being there, playing, the people around the team that we always meet and come up against and who help you is just, like I said, it's a great place to come and play cricket and to travel and tour.
So tell us about your experience playing in the Pakistan Super League, Bangladesh Premier League, and the Big Bash League.
It was brilliant. I suppose for me, in a way, I was probably very much known as a test match player. So when I finished with England, I had the opportunity to start playing some franchise cricket, which was great. To win the Big Bash with the Perth Scorchers was an amazing feeling. Like I said, I got to play with Mitchell Johnson and guys that I played a lot against. We had managed to win the T20 in England as well. So it's been nice to, I suppose, try and evolve. The older you get, you still want to try and improve and become better. And I think T20 was an area I could try and improve. So to manage to go off after my test career and win some T20 trophies and be part of different franchises around the world, play with players that I played so much against, but then got to know as friends and teammates is a great experience. I think that's the great thing about franchise cricket is getting to, into dressing rooms where different cultures, different ways of seeing the game and playing the game, which I think is great. And to be able to do that after my test career has been really enjoyable.
So let's talk about a player with whom you've made your one-day debut, Kevin Pietersen. So you played with have you ever played with a more naturally gifted batsman than Kevin Pietersen?
It's a good question. Probably not. Kevin, as you said, was an incredibly gifted player. Had the ability as well to turn it on as well in amazing moments, big moments in games. And somebody I really enjoyed batting with. We had a lot of really good times, good partnerships. And I think a lot of that was down to actually as our strengths and weaknesses were very different. So Kevin was a very strong leg side player.
Yes.
You could really come across from off stump and hit the ball leg side. I was more of an off-sided player, driving, cutting the ball. So a lot of our strengths and weaknesses were very different. So actually, I think for bowlers, it maybe when we were together was quite hard. So the same ball, Kevin could hit somewhere else, and I could hit it. Generally hit it through the leg side. I would hit through the offside. So I think we became quite a hard pair to bowl at together. But it was somebody again I enjoyed, batting with. And a lot of time when you're in big situations, it's 2 of you versus 11, and he was a good guy to bat with. A lot of good fun, but great as well when he was on and when he was at his top. To be at the non-strikers end wasn't a bad place to watch from as well.
So, Ian, do you know how many wickets you have?
Well, I know in Test match cricket I've got 1, which I cherish very highly.
So, who was your first wicket?
Oh, well, it's Mohammed Yusuf. He could play a little bit as well. He was a pretty good player. So I'm happy with that one. I do tell people that one a lot.
So you wish you had some more wickets to your name?
Yes and no. I think if you ask a lot of players who have faced me, they would have liked me to bowl a bit more, purely for the runs that they would get. But I think it was yes and no. It's obviously you want to be part of the game and getting in there, but obviously a lot of the time, certainly in Test match cricket in particular, I was doing short leg, silly point, so it's hard to do, I suppose, everything. But if I'm honest with you, I didn't really miss the bowling, not at that level. I think, like I said, there were too many good players who enjoyed my bowling too much to bowl that much.
Nice. So you are the 8th highest run scorer in Test and 3rd highest one-day scorer for England. Do you feel unappreciated because you quietly go about your business?
Not particularly. As you said, I was somebody that grew up. I loved the game. You know, all I wanted to do was go out and play. I didn't really chase anything away from cricket or anything, but just going out and playing and trying to win games of cricket for England. I think possibly sometimes when you finish playing, people start to appreciate you a little bit more than when you're currently in the middle. But no, there's nothing I really chased in a way or anything like that. And I think the purest cricket guys and people that watch the game know what you were. But, you know, for me, a lot of the time, the important thing was, you know, the team, my teammates, family, and they were the people that, again, that if I was playing well and I had all the support, then the rest of it didn't really matter too much. But it was nothing that I really chased. I just, as I said, I was someone just a cricket lover who loved getting out in the middle and competing and playing.
So we have Rahul Dravid in India, who also goes about his business quietly, and he has had a great success working with the young cricketers in India. And you had a stint with the England under 19 team as a coach. So how serious are you on coaching post retirement?
Yeah, very, very serious. It was an opportunity that came up. You know, unfortunately last year I got injured just before the season
Yes.
started, so I had surgery and I was out for the whole season. So I suppose, you know, I was starting to think about, okay, what with my time that I'm out injured, what am I going to start doing? So I think this became an opportunity to do. Luckily got the role and really enjoyed it. It's something I suppose I've always thinking in my head, even over the last few years. Coaching is what I really want to go. I want to stay in the game. Love talking about the game, love helping people, love you know, just being around and I suppose in the nets and training and trying to get better. Yeah, and it's something that I'm really serious about. I love the opportunity to work again with some of our best young cricketers, and hopefully we'll see some of these guys go on and be playing for England very soon. But yeah, something I'm very serious about, and I'm looking forward to. You know, I still haven't finished playing. I still got some things that I really want to go out and achieve. But yeah, I'll be looking and as desperate as I can to searching for opportunities to improve and be the best coach I can be over the next few years.
So how different is coaching from playing, Ian?
Well, I suppose coaching is about helping people find their way. You know, for me, it's not, as a coach, you know, I would never want to be telling people, you have to do this, you have to do it that way. I think there's lots of different ways to play. You know, I think when we're watching, you know, how Steve Smith goes about his business and how he plays to Virat Kohli, there's very different ways to be successful. So I think for me, it's about trying to find what works for that individual and helping that person understand their technique, you know, their personality, everything that goes in the mix together to become a top player. So, you know, I enjoy helping people, and it was satisfying. Again, you know, watching our guys improve through the winter is satisfying. And yeah, that was what I took out of it. You know, it's the difference between when you're trying to be, I suppose, the top player you can be and the best international player. You're very driven individually and you're trying to drive yourself forward all the time. When you become a coach, it's about other people, helping them grow, learning as much as you can, but dealing with lots of different characters. As I said, I'm a big believer, and watching the greatest players that I've played against, there's lots of different ways to be successful. You know, so it's not about coaches saying do it this way. You've got to adapt and help players find what's best for them.
So, Ian, are you planning to continue playing for Warwickshire?
Yeah. I mean, that's why I suppose at the moment, with everything that's going on, I suppose it's frustrating for me. Like I said, I was out all of last season injured, recovering after surgery. So at the moment, 100% fully fit, gearing up and just ready to play, just really desperate to get out and play some cricket. But yeah, the plan at the moment is to carry on. I'd love to be able to play another season or two for Warwickshire, and then, you know, I'll be ready to, like I said, move on and transition into coaching and hopefully, like I said, some opportunities to go around the world, learn about coaching and go around and, like I said, try and become the best coach I can be over the next, I suppose, after the playing days are finished.
So, who is the best coach you played under, and what is the best piece of advice he gave you?
Well, I think I've been very lucky to work with lots of great coaches who have gone on to be really successful. And I suppose for me, I was always trying to, I suppose, you get a lot of good knowledge from lots of different people, and I think as a player, you're trying to use those the bits that you feel suit your game. So I wouldn't say there's one person that's that I would just say I've used, or there's been lots of different information from people. I felt that, like I said, I had a coach who was with me since I was 10 years old, all the way through to England, that I would have worked with. We had Bob Warmer at Warwickshire. After he'd had an amazing stint with South Africa, and his record win ratio with that South African side was absolutely incredible. And he was probably a little bit ahead of his time as well as a coach. I think he'd be one of the best coaches now as well. So I feel very lucky. He helped me with a little bit of game management and understanding what international cricket was about. Andy Flower was fantastic, again, for me at the right time. And we had Duncan Fletcher as well, which in that period of 2005 was brilliant for that English team. He saw some holes that he could certainly technically or even tactically find little areas that we could get at Australia. So I wouldn't say there's one, and they've all been, like I said, I personally, I think it's up to players and young players to, you want the advice. You should go and talk to as many coaches, as many players as you can, but then try and find ways of using what's going to work for you. And that doesn't mean everything. So you've got to be able to put stuff away, but also use the right little bits that work in your game.
So Ian, Edgbaston or Lords, which is your favorite ground?
Oh, that is tough. I mean, obviously Edgbaston's my home ground, but it would always have to be Lords. It has to be Lords. It's the history, everything that goes about it when you walk into the home or the away dressing room.
Great memories at Lords.
Yeah, it's everything about Lords is just the place to go and play cricket for anyone around the world. It's just an amazing. You go through the long room. As I said, you look right back at the people who've scored hundreds in the away dressing room and the home. And I suppose when you walk in there and you play your first your goal, you just want to be on that board, especially as an away player, but also as an English player. So, yeah, every time you go there, and also it's probably the best food at lunch round when you tour England. So it's got a bit of everything. When you turn up to Lords, it's just a great place. And it also, as a spectator, I think there's a slightly different atmosphere at Lords than maybe some of the other grounds in England. Edgbaston's quite hostile, quite noisy, quite party atmosphere, whereas Lords has this quite unique cricket atmosphere. Sometimes it can be a real silence and a real quietness about it when amazing things are happening and a real buzz. So it's quite unique to what happens around the world in cricket.
So which country did you like the most to travel?
Again, I think the beauty of cricket is you get to go to so many amazing countries. Again, going to India again is fascinating. Again, it's the best place because cricket is number one, and that's the place you want to be at. Again, like I said, I was so lucky, to go to South Africa, Sri Lanka, New Zealand, Australia. I mean, I don't really have a favourite. I think all of them are special in their own way. But again, there's no place to beat, playing cricket in India.
Nice. So tell us about your love for Aston Villa Football Club. How do you rate your team's chances of staying up?
Well, I've always loved Aston Villa. I mean, actually, my family supports a team called Coventry City, which is one of their rivals. I don't know how I started supporting Aston Villa. I just did from since I was tiny. I don't remember how it happened, but yeah, I've always been an Aston Villa fan. I suppose the longer the postpone of the Premier League, the better our chances are at the moment. But I hope we're a Premier League side. We've obviously got we've got a huge fan base in England, a great stadium. So hopefully we will be in the Premier League. But we're going to have to play some good football. If they do start the Premier League up soon, then we're going to have to play some good football to stay in the Premier League. And if it gets cancelled, then I hope that we are still in the Premier League if that happens.
So what are your thoughts on Virat Kohli as a player and as a captain?
Oh, wow. He's incredible. I think you can only admire, as a player who's played Test match cricket, as a batsman alone, his hunger for runs, his consistency, his will to improve is incredible. He's a one in a generation player, isn't he? He's absolutely, a master of batting. Not just technically, but like I said, the drive to score runs is incredible. And the fact that, what I love about him is he always has a drive. So when he first came to England, obviously Jimmy Anderson's a master of what he does. And actually, I watched him in the last tour and watched him score 100 at Edgbaston. And the way he learns from things and then improves is incredible. So yeah, a master of a player, and as a leader, again, I watch him. You know, he leads from the front in his actions, his emotion, and again, you can only admire him from a distance as a player. And I know that again, as a competitor, and I know the England guys in particular, you know, they would see him as the best player in the world. And the bowlers will, if there's any player you want to get out in the world, it will be Virat Kohli, and that's the contest you want to get in. So yeah, we admire him from here, and like I said, believe he's the best player in the world across all formats. So yeah, I'm a massive fan. There's no doubt about that.
So, what are you? How do you rate the current England team in all the formats, across all the formats?
Yeah, well, I think from the World Cup that we had, obviously in 2000, when we were in Australia, which was so disappointing, and I believe that in a way the ECB, a lot of the planning going forward was we have a home World Cup coming up, so a lot of investment, a lot of the strategy was geared up to white ball cricket. So our white ball cricket in England has been fantastic for a long time now. Our T20 is good, and we have a lot of depth in white ball cricket. There's no doubt. We're in a very, very good place in 50 over cricket and T20. Test cricket probably has been a bit more inconsistent in the recent years. And we haven't probably found enough players, certainly in the batting unit, that can hit the same levels that Joe Root can. And I think Joe in particular is still a world-class player, right at the top with Virat, Kane Williamson, and Steve Smith. He's right up in their level. But we probably don't have enough players to go with him at the moment in time. There are some good young players coming through. So hopefully our Test cricket will start to trend in the right direction. It's probably, like I said, it's been a bit inconsistent in recent time compared to our white ball cricket. And I know in the near future, again, there's some huge challenges. I know there was, obviously in the future, we've got a tour of India. We also have an Ashes away in Australia, which, as I've said, they are the pinnacle, but also the hardest challenges that come for an English Test match side. And that's the next 2 years of away cricket. So it's a big challenge for our Test side coming up. But like I said, there has been, I think, in the last couple of months, obviously a good tour to South Africa. And there are some good players. I mean, I suppose, challenge is to get our domestic game, certainly in 4-day cricket, which in recent time, you know, a good score sometimes can be around the 250 mark, which again, when you go to Test match cricket, you have to be scoring 400 plus regularly. So I think there's a bit of work to do with our domestic game to make sure that we're picking players from a batting point of view are scoring big hundreds and batting a long period of time, and then bowlers who can turn up and bowl on flat pitches, so they can either bowl at good pace, or when they're spinners, they can get good players out on flatter pitches. And I think that's an area we need to improve in England to make sure our Test match cricket is still trending in the right direction.
So, Ian, we would want you to select the best Test 11 from the teams you have played against.
Wow.
Who will be the opening pair?
I got a little heads up on this question just before, so I tried to think about all the players, and I don't even think I can get the great players that I've got all into 111, but I will try, and I'm going to leave out some amazing players here. My opening partnership would have to be who I played against would obviously be Matthew Hayden, Sehwag, Virender Sehwag. I think those two together would be an incredible partnership.
Explosive.
Absolutely. Put pressure back on the bowlers. They'd be my two. Number 3 would have to be Ricky Ponting. I still believe at a period of time he was one of the best players, scored one of the best hundreds I've ever seen at the Gabba. It was just an incredible innings. Number 4, there's only one really. I can only have Sachin Tendulkar at number 4.
Absolutely.
I can't have a team. Again, he was one that when we played against, you obviously want to get him out because he's such a good player, but part of you wanted to watch him bat for a period of time as well as the fans. So you'd have to have him in your side. Number 5 would be Virat Kohli. I'm amazed he's at number 5. He could bat anywhere, number 3, 4 or 5, but he would be there at 5. I'd have Jack Callis at number 6. Again, so obviously I think with an all-rounder, again, I think so underrated with his numbers alone with the bat, with the ball. An incredible cricketer. Number 7, I've got my wicket keeper, but again, it's hard to pick between Dhoni, Gilchrist, and Sangakkara. I had to off a loan. One, because I played with him at Warwickshire as well. Sangakkara for me was just incredible. If it was a white ball one-day team, I'd have Dhoni. And this is so hard to do because, again, I could pick another team that would probably be just as good. Number 8, because I've got so much batting there, I've got Shane Warne at number 8. An absolute genius with the ball, genius of a cricketer. The way he thought about the game, the pressure he could create was phenomenal. Number 9, again, for me, I found him one of the hardest bowlers I've faced, certainly for a few years, was Zaire Khan. I had him in there because I found him incredible. As a middle order player, one, he was brilliant with the new ball. And certainly he learned, I think he was at Worcester for a season playing as overseas player and learnt how to use the Duke's ball, got a lot of wickets, but also his reverse swing. Incredible, going the ball over the wicket, round the wicket, and he had an amazing skill like Jimmy Anderson to be able to really run up and to hide the ball so you couldn't see. So for me, and this is my own opinion, I found him really hard to play reverse swing because of the way he used the crease and also his skills. I thought he was very, very skillful. Number 10, Murali. So he, again, it's genius of a bowler, very hard to play, certainly in Sri Lanka. And then number 11, I had Glenn McGrath again. But again, I look at the people I've missed out and left out, and obviously I made my debut against Lara, Chris Gale, Steve Smith, Mahela Jayawardene, Syed Ajmal, Dhoni, AB de Villiers. I mean, I feel very lucky actually that I played against in an era of, even Rahul Dravid actually is someone I missed out there. I feel lucky that I played against some of the best players who have ever played.
So who's the captain of your team, Ian? Who's the captain of your team?
That is hard. Again, I could have anyone. Oh, do you know what? I'll probably go for
Virat. You can't get away with that.
I'll have Virat because I like how fiery he is. I think he'd lead these legends pretty well.
Oh, perfect. So thank you so much, Ian, for joining us. It was such a pleasure connecting with you, and we're waiting to see you back on field again. All the very best. Stay safe, stay blessed, and thanks again for joining us.
Thank you so much. Hope everyone's good and safe. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.